I'm gonna do the intro because I guess I gotta do it. I don't know. This is new. This is new, everybody.
Shall I count you in? I can count you in. In 3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Elixir Friends, where I chat with friends from the Elixir community. Today,
hello.
my friend, nice, is Peter Ullrich. Peter, thanks for joining me, man.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me. Well, I kind of invited myself, but thanks for agreeing and accepting it.
That was the best thing. That was the best. I love it. I have, just like you, many guests now because they dared reply to that tweet, or post, I should say.
I still call it tweets.
Do you call okay?
It's still
yes.
Twitter as well.
Yeah, same here. Will you ever adjust to that? Will you ever call it anything else?
Nah, I think it's one of these situations where you're just waiting it out. You're just waiting until the end, and you're like, just please God, make it happen anytime soon. Just relieve me of this pain. And I just hope that like in a half a year we're gonna have a new ownership, and then we can call it Twitter again. Who knows? Who knows?
I would love that. I don't really want Twitter to die. I mean, I guess I don't care, but it's I don't know where else to go. It's not like I tried. I briefly tried. What is it called? Hit me with something new. Blue Sky.
Threads.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Blue Sky. No, I didn't go to Threads. I don't have Instagram. I think you need to sign up with Instagram or something for it. Or, there's too many. I'm like an old man now, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I would wish that we could just take all the people from one platform and just migrate them to the next platform without any interruption. Just like your followers are the same, your followings are the same. It's just a different name now. Because then Blue Sky, I think, would be the best option. I've been active on that a bit more. It's cool, but the problem is there's no tech folks around. Like the only people are just writers and interesting people, but it's not my community. So that's why I'm still sticking with Twitter.
Yeah, I know that's the issue, right? It's what with the network effects or whatever they call it. It's just it's just so hard. If nobody's there, then it kind of loses the whole point of the social network aspect or whatever. So,
but now with all of Brazil gone, and they're all on Blue Sky now, mostly. So,
oh, really?
Maybe step by step. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. The issue with Brazil, that's a big one. And that's a big, especially in Elixir, I think. Well, I don't know. I think it's a big community there. Though some people in Elixir Conf were saying it's not as big as I think. Because I thought it was huge. But
no, I think it's huge. It's just, you don't see them that often. I mean, I don't know. In my last company, we had so many people from Brazil. We were actively hiring there too. Adolfo is also from Brazil, the researcher.
Isn't he from Portugal?
No, I think he's from Brazil, no?
I'll have to... I don't know.
Because he's on Blue Sky now. He's complaining about Twitter and saying, well, I can't be on Twitter anymore, so I'm on Blue Sky now.
Oh, then never mind. That's very clear.
That's how it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Peter, I have to ask you a question, because now that we're recording... So, I wasn't planning on recording video. Now that we're recording video... I'm going to have to get tips from you because I look super pale. Like I just got scared to death. And you look perfect. Plus your background.
Well, the difference is just like a beauty in the presence, in the appearance.
Nice.
No. Just kidding.
Your lighting is phenomenal. So I'm gonna have to get tips from you on that. Actually,
well, yeah, I've been tweeting about that all the time. I can give you a rundown. I should do a video walkthrough, like a studio walkthrough anyway. A lot of people ask me, but to be honest, I am a complete amateur in this thing. I'm just learning by doing, and I've been doing this for like 3-4 years now. That I just like gradually upgrade and so on.
Yeah.
But if I would buy like 2 things to get this kind of setup, at least like the lighting on my face.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna write these things down.
It's just 2 things. Is one of the, like you want to have an DSLR camera, like I'm using a Sony ZV-E10. Doesn't matter. Just get a Sony camera that can record, like I would say 4K would be good because then it can downsample to 1440p.
Okay.
It's good for if you want to record video. 1080p is still fine though, but sometimes it becomes a little grainy.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Invest in that. It's like 500-600 euros. So the camera is the most expensive one. And then the other thing you want to have is a softbox. And the softbox, it should be like a 90 centimeter at least. 90 centimeters, because then you get like a softer light. And you want to have the grid in front of it. So it's like a mesh like this, so that actually the light is kind of directed. And behind that, you can get for like $80, you can get a Godox SL60W light. It's a like a single, like it only has one temperature. So if you want to upgrade, get a Godox SL100D, and that is like $150 instead of like 80. But still, then you can also change the temperature of the light, which is sometimes useful if you want to, be a little bit less like cold. You want to be warm, like a warm light.
Kind of like I am right now. I'm super cold right now.
Kind of, yeah. So, you can give yourself a little tan just by like turning the knob.
I should go out and see the sun too. That might help. But anyway.
Who does that these days anyway, right? I think we just stopped with COVID. Like nobody's going outside anymore.
Oh gosh.
But these are the three things. I was lying. Actually, you need a stand.
Next sticky note.
You need a stand too, and you need to have a camera stand that is not connected to your table, because if it is connected, and I would just wiggle my table, the whole camera thing would wiggle too.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a little. So those are like
sense.
5 things. I just went from 2 to 5. I'm like a product manager here.
I'm amazed that you remember these things. What was it? Godox SLW Lite?
A Godox SL60W.
And the other one's 100. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and the other one's SL100D. Yeah,
100D.
I've been, to be honest, you're the third person asking me this week, so I know all these things by heart now.
And I suppose I should know some of this. I think you recommended this course maybe to me, or not, the screencasting course.
Yes, Baron
So
Francis.
I did get it, and a lot of the things I already did, because I use ScreenFlow too. But the video setup, or the light setup, it's improved a little bit, but I look very pasty. So anyway.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It could also be your settings. Like for me, I was recording a long time at 720p because I had my camera on the wrong settings. And it's literally just changing a flip, like going from photo to video, and then you immediately have like 1080p instead of 720. So they're like these small problems, how you say, like pitfalls you can fall into.
Yeah, I have an Elgato something.
Yeah, I don't have a webcam.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you have an SLR, DSLR, that's next level configuration.
But for a fellow video course creator like yourself, like, can't you take 1,000 out of the $100,000 you earned and just buy proper gear?
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Although I haven't created a course in a while, should I create one? I'm thinking about it.
That gives you a reason to buy more gear. That is the whole reason.
That's the reason. Yeah. That's fair. It's a good point. Are you creating courses now? I guess. Hold on. So what is? Maybe I have questions, because I know you were doing indie courses, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a blog post. How long ago was that? That was maybe a couple months ago that you wrote.
Oh, no,
maybe a month ago.
3 months ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, recently.
Yeah. And so you're stopping progress on that, is that right?
Yes. So but also that is like, not 100%, not black and white. So
gotcha. So tell me more.
Like the story of indie courses is that I started it last summer actually with a friend, and we built it together for a while, and then my friend stepped out and I focused on it. And I said, like, from January this year on, because I quit my job in December last year, and I said January onwards, I'm gonna focus fully on indie courses.
Got it.
Because also I created my own first course last year. It was like build an MVP with Elixir. And I just realized, I don't want to be on Gumroad. I want to have something a bit more sophisticated in terms of, features and all.
Yeah.
But there's no good. Yeah, right. Like you and Podio. I mean, we talked about it before.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still thinking, how can I get you? And I will actually implement maybe features that will make you come over to indie courses.
I mean, yeah. As a side note, I want to implement my own thing, because I still hate Podio, but I still use it. So. Hate it is not the right word. It's just not what I'm looking for.
I know, and that's the thing, right? All of these platforms, I looked at all of them when I tried to find a platform for myself, and also later with indie courses, and like they're all okay-ish. Like none of them is great, where you think, well, this is actually the best platform in the market. It's not that there's like a peak somewhere where one person is doing the best, and that's why I thought, well, indie courses, it's not going to be focused on everybody. It's not going to be focused on people who want to have cooking courses and writing courses, like quizzes, certifications, none of that. Just like pure video and some technical stuff like GitHub integration, ideally Slack and Discord integration too. Yeah.
I think that's the issue, right? All these other platforms are aiming for creators who aren't I don't know, but I think they're not technically savvy. Yeah. So it's like they're looking for different things. And
I can tell you why that is, because I ran into the same issue.
It's the amount of creators that you have, right? Or people who are wanting to do courses.
Yes, that, and also technical content creators are usually able to build their own platform if they wanted to. And there are even templates out there where you can just like download a free GitHub template, and you just, it's the Next.js thing. You put it on Netlify or Vercel, and you're done. You upload your videos to Cloudflare or whatever, and it's good enough. Like, you can do that in a weekend if you want to. But then you really have nothing except for the core structure. You don't have commons. You don't have like multiple tier pricing. Sometimes you have that in the templates included. Gotcha. But you don't have feedback. You don't have like
so it's just like
codes.
It's just like a CRUD that you walk through.
Yeah, it's very basic.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay,
but it's all right. And the thing is, so like the big creators in the space, they all have their own platforms because sure, like they React, super expert React front end developers. So of course they can build something like that, and they want to. It's also cool to be your thing. So like, because you asked earlier, hey, what's up with this blog post, right? Because I wrote a blog post saying indie courses is going into hibernation. Yeah. And
it is winter, by the way. It's okay.
So that's why I said, hibernation. Let's wait until spring. Let's see how I'm behaving in spring. But the problem basically is like, so I built a lot of features which I think are pretty cool, and they are unique to other platforms. Like nobody else has a GitHub integration where you can automatically, like students can invite themselves to a GitHub repo.
I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. So that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like small stuff like that, because I had the same issue. People were emailing me, hey, can you add me to the GitHub repo? This is my username. And then I had to open GitHub on my phone, try to navigate it and click all the buttons. It was just like, why isn't this automated? So that's why I implemented it.
Okay.
And the thing is, I think like in terms of features, I'm pretty competitive, even like ahead of many of the competitors. But the problem is the business model. And like this has been more or less the first real business that I've created. I created a couple of smaller ones before, and they all were like $100 a month, $200 a month successful. Uh-huh. But this one was the first where I said, okay, this is gonna be my baby for the next couple of years. And like from engineering, I'm an engineer, I'm a software engineer, so I looked at the product and I looked at the what I need to build, and I was like, yeah, that's doable, I can do that, and that's what I focused on. Yeah. But what I forgot kind of to like shine a light on and analyze fully is the business model, right? So really end-to-end thinking, like where do you find new customers? How do you acquire them? How can you convince them to change to yours? How difficult is it for them to change to your platform? Or in general, to change platforms? Do they want to change platforms? Is it a need? Is it a pain? Or is it just something nice to have, right?
Right.
And I mean, I looked at that and I said, well, there are enough technical content creators out there. I looked up like how many people use Podia, these hosted websites from Podia, and there are like 10,000 websites out there. So I was like, if I get 10% of that, 1,000 customers, I'm good. It should be easy, right?
Right.
But it's not. And the problem there is like the whole business cycle, the acquisition cycle, that is the problem in this space. And that's why you also see why others do what they do, which is most of them are VC funded. They have tons of money to burn in terms of marketing and sales. They focus on all the different creators groups, and especially non-technical people, because they know, like somebody who has a cooking shop or a cooking show, they're not going to create their own website to sell their course, right? They want to have something that they can buy. Yeah. And in my case, I did like all the wrong things. I focused on the wrong audience. I'm not VC funded. I'm a bootstrap founder. So the problem there is basically that, I would need to invest a lot of time into finding the creators in all the niches, not only Elixir, like there may be like 10 creators in Elixir. And then I would need to go to PHP, Java, like find all the creators wherever they are, convince them to change to my platform, and then like also ideally make some money, because if they only change, I don't make any money at first, unless they subscribe to a subscription.
Okay.
But if they actually start selling stuff, okay, then I make money.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
The thing is also, like these creators, these indie creators, they don't make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, right? They make like 10, 15, maybe 20K a year, which is good for them. But for me, that would mean like, I don't know, $10 to $200 a year from one creator.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, then it's a numbers game. And so all these things, they didn't add up. Yeah. At least that is my current understanding. That's what I experienced. But maybe somebody convinces me and says, well, Peter, you just got to do this, and then it's going to fly, and I'm going to be like, sure, let me do that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think we all make this exact same mistake, right? We all go for, like when we start a business, it's like we start product and it's like, and it turns out distribution is extremely important. Like, how do you reach people? And what you said about, I think, the sales cycle is really interesting, because that's another huge thing, right? If it takes you, I don't know, a year to convert a customer from like first touch to them actually migrating to your platform, to them actually completing a course, or or and then actually selling, and that is a long time to wait. So I get that. That makes sense.
And that's the issue. So the thing is, I was ready to tackle that problem. I was ready to do the outreach. I already started doing the outreach, just like one by one, emailing people. I got good feedback. They were all like, "Oh, that's cool," but I haven't touched my course in 4 years. I don't care about it. It's running on Gumroad. It's making me like 5K a year, whatever, So I'm like, good for you,
okay.
But
so you did outreach then? You actually went and talked about interesting.
I contacted like, I don't know, 50 people or so, and I got good response rates. I got good feedback. Maybe one person converted. But
did you
the
reach
problem? I went to Gumroad. I searched for video courses and technical section, and then you just look for the names, and mostly they have an email, or they put the email on their website. You find these people like LinkedIn. It's easy.
Interesting. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, but the thing is, I have a good friend of mine, and he and I, we like got talking, and he has some good ideas, which are B2B, which are very technical. They're developer focused. So also the price range, or the price, entry price would be a little bit higher.
Yeah,
it's very classical B2B, developer focused infrastructure stuff.
Okay.
So I can't reveal anything yet. we will reveal it in due time. Yeah, stealth mode. It's more like we haven't started yet, and I don't want to spring like how you say, spring the gun. I think
jump the gun. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So, but all of this is in the making. But that meant for me right now is just like put a hold on indie courses. It's still around. It's still online. I'm still fixing bugs. I'm adding features even still. So like team plans might still come actually, because I also need them.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, because I need it for my own video courses. So like, if I have a pain and I'm like, oh man, like we need that, and then I'm just going to implement it, and out of a sudden everybody has it, right? So that's an advantage there to eat your own dog food.
Yeah, for sure, right? For sure. So you're still planning on doing courses then? Like maybe? Sometimes?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so courses are on the radar, but for now, it's more like products, like software, infrastructure products. Gotcha. But I have so many ideas for video courses, especially in Elixir, a bit more advanced, than my previous courses, because I think there's so many things that just like people know about Broadway, for example, right? And I've been like, I started live streaming yesterday again,
Yeah, I saw that.
And now I'm implementing stuff with Broadway, and I'm like, okay, from the outside it looks easy, but then when you actually implement something, you just run into all these issues. Issues by like design, how you say, constraints. Constraints, kind of like you got to follow a certain way, and not everything works as expected. So you need to read a lot of documentation until you get everything set up. It's like a wealth of knowledge you got to learn. And I'm like, so maybe people would love to learn about Broadway in a structured manner, like in a video course. Maybe not. I don't know. Like, but that's just one of these ideas where like they are very more advanced topics out there. And, I'm not only talking Broadway, that I think would be valuable as a advanced video course, because also in our community, we have mostly senior developers, so you can actually aim higher if you create content. And you might make a couple of bucks with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Have you considered I've been trying to think about this. If I make another course, how to make it more team focused. That's why team pricing to me is so important. I don't know if team focused, but it's very different to sell a single license to one person versus like a company. If you can sell it for, I don't know, 10, 20 licenses, or maybe you have some type of pricing that's like all you can eat. But
well, there you gotta find honest companies, who actually would pay for 10 seats instead of just one and share the login internally. I don't know whether you could actually make a video course like team-based for Elixir especially. I don't know. Like you would need to teach different skills to different people.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, just a thought, because that is something I've been thinking about. It's like, what, because I agree. It's like, I don't know. People anyway, it doesn't matter. But It's
it would be cool, right? If you could tap into that. But then I think you're more in the Grox.io ecosystem where you just do 2-day trainings, 48 hours, like 2-day, and then people can buy seats, and they can send the engineers, and then you actually know that, they buy enough seats because you have like 3 faces in front of you instead of, like 3 seats, 3 faces.
Yeah, got you.
That might be a bit more, but it's not async. It's not a thing like you build it once and then people buy it.
I didn't realize Groxio was that. I thought it was more recorded. It's like workshop style things.
Yeah, it's trainings, 2-day trainings. Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why, like, if you want to go into the B2B training, like multiple seats thing, then that would be interesting. And I think actually in the community there's certainly some people who could offer that. I mean, they would need to have the time and spend a day or two, like 9 to 5,
sure,
like a proper job.
Yeah.
But I think it would be good. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. How is that? Going back to, you mentioned live streaming. How's live streaming? I've never done that. I have always been curious about it. Is it like, do you enjoy it? Is it nerve-wracking? Stressful?
Nah, I love it. It's great. Like, I'm just sitting here, I'm talking to the camera. I have my chat window open, so I see people replying. I've done live streaming previously. I think like half a year ago or maybe last year I tried that. Okay. But like now I changed the topic, what I'm streaming about. Because half a year ago, I just did code reviews of open source libraries. So people would send,
I vaguely remember you doing that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that was cool. Yeah, that was cool. But the thing is, like, it's mostly valuable to like the creator of the library and then a handful of other people. And it's, it's like, let's look at like this tiny library that is interesting, but it's not interesting to the whole community. Sure. So back then it was very much like, I don't know, like it wasn't as fluent, as wasn't as multi-day. I also felt stressed because I've never seen the code base before, and all of a sudden I need to start talking about it and give recommendations within like an hour, right? So that's also a level of stress. So anyway, so this time because after I kind of put indie courses on hold, I thought, well, how can I grow my audience? Like, how can I still, just grow and get more people involved, get my name into more people's like heads. And I decided to do, because I've always done written word, I always done blog posts, now I have run Elixir too, which we can talk about later. But like I always done the written part, and I love that too. But it's like it has some constraints. It's not interactive. It's like if you want a little longer form, like if you actually want to describe like a whole project, how to build a whole thing, you have to write a book about it. But, and then people have to read the whole book, which almost nobody does. So anyway, so I decided, well, I'm going to do written word. I'm going to continue doing that, like blog posts, and these kind of things. Also my newsletter, I'm going to focus on that more. But the other thing I wanted to focus on more, because I love talking to a camera and just talking in general, as you can hear now, I'm just rambling.
I like it.
Like what I love to do is explain stuff, and I love to build stuff, So these are my two passions. And so what I'm doing now is I'm doing a live stream, and we're building together a project, and I'm just, figuring things out while going along. People come tag along, and we're gonna build cool stuff. So the project that I'm currently working on is actually, we're gonna connect, or we already have connected to the Blue Sky Firehose API. And that is just a WebSocket connection, and it just blasts event at you. You connect to it and immediately get like a stream of events, everything that's happening on the platform. And what I want to do is I want to create a data processing pipeline using Broadway. So we fetch the event, we decode it, we fetch like the content of them. And eventually I want to run a sentiment analysis using NX. So Bumblebee downloading the model, like throwing the post in there and then getting like a -1 to 1 sentiment basically back, and that stuff I'm going to aggregate over like per minute maybe, and then I'm going to throw into timescale DB. Okay. So then I have time series data on the sentiment of Blue Sky. Well, like very roughly. Okay. But still, it's a cool project, and then eventually you can use LiveView to visualize the sentiment over time. Do some aggregation with timescale, like 24-hour sentiment, weekly sentiment, so on. And it's all going to be done live. It's all going to be done on the live stream. And it's a big project, It's not just like an hour or two and then we're done. It's like many weeks, I guess, or maybe 2-3 weeks. And I think people enjoy it so far.
Okay. That sounds, I mean, first of all, when you mentioned this, when I saw this on Twitter, I was wondering how much you do in a session, right? Because I saw you mention the sentiment analysis on Blue Sky. I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. But so you haven't finished. How long did you live stream? This was yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday I did 3.5 hours. That was pretty long.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
But you forget the time when you just sit here. I also have my light blocked out, so I can't see outside. I can't see the sun setting.
Yeah.
But 3.5 hours yesterday. Today I did another stream just now, like 2 hours, a bit more than 2. And we have come to the point where we can now actually start doing the sentiment analysis.
Oh, wow.
So Broadway and the connection, the decoding, like they use a CBOR, like a binary representation. It's like a certain encoding style for sending the tweets or the posts. So we have done all of that. And now we're at the point where we can actually do the sentiment analysis. So I got to look into how to run NX in your Phoenix application.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So it's coming along, but it's taking
okay.
hours.
That is interesting. That is cool. And you're doing it. I mean, I know you talked about you like both like explaining how things work, but also building and all this stuff. But you also mentioned it's to grow your audience. Are you? I saw another tweet from you that said 5,000 something. Is that your Twitter followers?
Yeah, that's my Twitter followers.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's good. That's a lot.
It's good. It's a lot for the Elixir community, right?
Yeah.
It's like few people have 5K. I don't know. It's so small. It feels so small.
It is small. Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah, but I mean, because of it, it also allows us to, it's a niche, so it's like there's goods and bads, I guess. You can meet people, you can, nobody's out of reach, kind of thing, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. But what is the when you live stream? Are you doing it on Twitch?
Actually, I use Restream.io.
Okay.
And you can connect it to OBS, and then from OBS you stream to Restream.io, and they send it to, I don't know, they have like 30 different outputs. So I'm streaming live to LinkedIn. I didn't even know they had live streaming. I'm live streaming to YouTube, to Twitch, and to Twitter. Yeah. And especially Twitter is cool because like on Twitter, if you live stream, you pop up in that side on the corner, and it's just always there. It's like super prominent, so people jump in. But you can't trust the views. Like if you see like 400 people are watching it, it's maybe like 2.
It's just like people are scrolling, kind of thing.
It's just like random number, Yeah.
Twitter, gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's like how many people saw it in their timeline. That's like a view out of a sudden.
Right on Twitter. But how do people interact with you then? You said people are messaging you stuff. How?
Yeah, so on all the platforms they can type messages, and they're all connected to Restream, and then I see them in the singular chat, and I also put that in my video. So you see me, my face, you see the screen, and you see the chat box. So you actually see from all the different platforms all the messages coming in. Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm so ignorant about all these things. It both amazes me and at the same time it's not surprising that these things exist. I didn't realize that, but I'm sure it's a good business. Restream.io.
I like it. I got it from Aaron as a recommendation. He uses it too, and I think very few people, especially stream to Twitter.
To Twitter,
yeah.
Maybe I ought to be streaming this.
Maybe you should, and then people could ask messages, questions and all. They could write in.
Oh my gosh! No, I don't know. I don't think I can handle all the things happening at the same time. I can't walk and drink water at the same time. I can't multitask like that.
The trick is to talk and then already think about the next thing you talk, and the talking becomes automatic. I don't know. After a while, it just becomes automatic.
Yeah, there you go. So I do a lot of pairing, but I'm if I were to do live stream, I think I would trip up between like the messages coming in and me trying to think about the problem and being programming. But I guess I do pairing, so it's not.
It's you get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, you're live streaming. Does that? I guess because you're doing Restream, that kind of answers my question. I was wondering if you have you heard of the hub and spoke wheel concept for like?
I heard that recently, right? But I don't know exactly what it is.
I think it means that if you're trying to do sort of, hub and spoke like a bicycle wheel, right? Aren't you a bicycle person? Or am I making that up? Okay.
What is a hub?
Yeah, so the hub is the middle of the wheel and the spokes are the...
okay, got it.
So I think the idea is that like your hub might be like your newsletter or something, and all of these spokes are like Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn or whatever, and so long as they kind of bring the spokes bring you back to the hub, I guess, is kind of the concept. So I wasn't sure if you were doing something like that where, I don't know, you're streaming and then people from Twitter can find your newsletter or something. I don't really know if I'm not very sophisticated with these things. So
no, but you're right. It's something that I've been I've been thinking about it this way ever since I listened to a interview of Aaron Francis on the $1 Million Creator podcast. I'm not sure whether
is that with the
guy from Convert Kid?
Yeah, I saw a little piece of that. Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like, so there are 2 sessions. One of them is more like a, hey, let's talk about your course launch thing. It's more like a chat like we're having right now. Yeah. And then there's a second episode, which is literally a coaching session between the founder of ConvertKit and Aaron. Yeah. And Aaron has, video courses. He also does a lot of content. So he's kind of in a similar situation. Like, I am not in a similar situation as Aaron, but he's my he's up there, so I can look at him and see what he's doing, and I can mimic it.
His video quality is awesome. Yeah, his video stuff. Yeah.
He has a great video. Actually, I'm taking so many. I copy so much from him. Like how he set up the live stream thing with like a nice template and all. And I'm just like, I'm obsessing over it. I'm looking at his YouTube live stream and I'm like, why is this text so crisp and why is my text not so crisp? And it takes me like 3 hours to figure it out that he doesn't rescale his that's a trick on if you want to live stream. Like if you take your whole monitor, if you capture your whole monitor and then you kind of like resize it inside OBS into a smaller version, it's gonna change it's gonna pixelate stuff because it's gonna compress it. So if you want to have 0 pixelation and the most accurate or crisp text you can, you actually got to have a window in exactly the same dimensions in terms of pixels that it is on your OBS preview.
Oh my
thing.
Gosh, yeah.
It's man, and Aaron has it, of course. Like that's why he's in a different league. But I tried it the other day, and then like after 3 hours of trying, I actually realized, well, there's a scaling flag you can enable. It's like an algorithm, and then it smooths out the text. And it took me like 3 hours just to find this one option. Nobody mentioned it anywhere. So after 3 hours, I was finally, out of a sudden, the text is kind of readable. So I'm like, good enough. I'm just ended. Like,
iterative improvement. You're like, okay, it's good enough for that. Yeah.
But it's like if somebody had told me there's a freaking flag, you can just right click and then you go to scaling and then you select like linear or whatever. Out of a sudden, everything becomes much more crisp. Like somebody should have told me that. I would have paid money for that actually.
And why would that not be the default? I mean, I know nothing about this, right? But
I don't know.
Does it change any of the I don't know. Anyway,
it's you got to know about that. Yeah, and the other thing you got to know about is like if you resize something, you actually don't resize the input. You're resizing like how it's presented, and that's also affecting how it's shown. So that's called a bounding box, and you can't enable the bounding box. You have to disable the bounding box and just resize the input. It's a whole like science for itself,
And this is what did you call it? What was this again?
In OBS. That's what everybody uses for streaming. Yeah.
Whatever. Interesting.
If you want to make a video, if you're a really good OBS, like if you're really good with working with OBS and you know all these tricks, and you're gonna make a video course about it, you're gonna make a ton of money, right? It's like $50, $100.
You should make it.
Nah,
you should make that one.
I'm not there yet.
You can, but you have all the pain points right now, right? Record them, fix them, add them.
Yeah. The trick is to write them down. Always write down what you're learning, and then all of a sudden you have a list of 20 things, and you're like, I could just talk about that for 2 hours.
Yeah. OBS tips and tricks or something, There
Definitely.
you go. Yeah. Interesting. OBS. Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I also hope that Aaron is going to make video courses about that because he said that somewhere. Like he's going to focus more on how to use ScreenFlow for recording, how to use Adobe Premiere. But that's actually his business partners doing that. And maybe just OBS, like how to set up your live stream. That would be actually valuable because a lot of people, they want to do live streaming, they set up OBS, and then it doesn't look good. Right. And then you got to, and that is the advantage of like video courses and books and so on. Like, yes, you can learn all of that stuff yourself. You can spend hours and days and weeks like being frustrated that your text is not clear, and you search all the forums and Google as much, but you would pay money. You would pay a lot of money if somebody would just give you a 2-hour introduction to OBS and how to set all these flags exactly right so that you get the best result out, right? And so the advantage of like video courses, I'm always saying, well, yeah, you can do the things yourself, you can learn them yourself, but it's going to take you weeks. What I'm offering you is like all of that stuff condensed into a very nice package of like 2 hours, and then everything you would need to learn.
Exactly.
And I give you pointers also if you want to learn more. That's important too. But that's why I love doing these kind of like video courses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I agree. That's a huge value. It's funny because I think a lot of people, when they buy a video course, I'm not sure if this is true, but I have this impression that they're like, they want to, the longer the video course, the more they think is worth. But sometimes it's the opposite, because it's like, look, I'm trying to save you like hundreds of hours of experience and pain. And I'm condensing it into 2 hours. But like, if you actually sell that course and people say it's like 2 hour runtime, like why am I paying for 2 hours? I don't know. I don't know if do you think that's true? I feel like people think that way. Not people,
depends,
me too.
Right? But it depends on the creator. Like if you have a really good educator and a really good topic that is big enough, sure, you can have a 10, 11, 12-hour video course. Sure. But are you gonna watch 12 hours? Honestly,
I know that's
probably
the thing.
not.
Yeah.
Like nobody does that. I have even issues watching like 2 hours. Just like I get bored, and you're just sitting, in front of the computer, just staring at it, and you can't even use it. Like like for me, I always have to stop and actually implement whatever they're telling me, and then come back. But then I kind of forget to come back.
You just start diving on your own.
And then it's like, what was that? There was a video course I bought. But no, I forgot. What I lost the connection to it, so I just ignore it now.
Yeah, I think I have two modes. Either I do that when it's like a really deep topic that I want to go deeply, or I do like super fast. And I do this with books too. Like if it's a technical book, I might just go super fast, and I know I'm going to forget like 80%. But there's that sort of like, I remember seeing this somewhere, kind of like I've learned something about it, and it kind of is a thread to pull on. But I know I'm not going to like remember the whole thing. So anyway, so I think you could watch a course like that, right? Like 2x, 3x, 4x, or whatever, and just like
well, I wouldn't understand anything. It's just like like the chipmunks.
Do you? Okay, but do you watch courses at 1x or 2x?
1.2, 1.5 usually.
Okay.
YouTube videos too. Yeah. Because people, they tend to talk a little slower, and then I just speed it up.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, like we talked about the spoken and knob. What is it? Hub. Spoken hub thing.
Hub and spokes. Yeah, that one.
Hub and spoke. Yeah, and that's why I mentioned the coaching session with Aaron and the podcast $1 million creator. Yes, I actually listened to that coaching session, and in there also the founder of ConvertKit, he says, well, what's your spoke? What's your hub? And it's the same, like usually it's a newsletter that's at the core of everything, and then outside you have different social medias, live streaming, YouTube, that kind of thing, and you try to channel all of those to your hub, to your newsletter. However, also the question is like how well does each of these things work? Like live streaming, for example, I don't think people are subscribing to my newsletter because they see me live streaming, right? It's like too much of a hassle to actually go somewhere and click that and everything. But if they read your blog, and in your blog you have, a prominent banner like subscribe to my newsletter everywhere, like the whole time they see it, that's probably a much better, input, like a pipeline towards the hub. Right.
It is a lot closer, if we can speak of distance, right? Like it's closer, in my mind at least, from your blog, because you already have it there. You're, like the subscribe link or whatever. But I think, I think in that video too, they talked about, and I hate the name, but lead magnets or something. Like, it's just like you're providing something, but sort of in exchange for an email. I haven't done this yet. I know it's supposed to be very effective, but I feel like as developers, we're more allergic to these things, maybe. I don't know if that's true.
No, honestly, I don't think so. Well, so the thing is, how do you implement it, right? Because if you build a lead magnet, and it is literally a tool, you can input stuff and you get something out, and it's useful. Great. It's I like it a lot. And I will remember, like if you put your logo somewhere, your brand, like I will remember the brand, and I will always come back to the tool, reuse it and so on. But what a lot of people do is they put a gate in front of it, like they put a newsletter sign up. So you need to sign up with your newsletter, and only then you receive the result, right?
But that's a lead magnet, right?
I don't know. Lead magnet is just something that people find you by. Like it's a useful tool that people use in order to find you, I guess. That like if you look for, if you search something on Google, like, I don't know, calculator for something, and you have the best calculator, they will use.
That's true. That can be, I guess, a lead magnet. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I mean, a friend of mine, he also built all these kind of things, and I said, well, you should at least have a newsletter sign up thing, like leave your email here. He didn't like the idea, and I understand that now. To be honest, myself, I understand that now. But I also, for him, it actually costs him money if people would use that thing. Like only a couple of cents, but if you scale it, it might become expensive. So I was more like, well, they kind of have to pay for it, and they pay with the email. And in that situation, it's not just a free tool. You could make free, and it would cost you nothing.
Right.
So I don't know, but lead magnets. I think they still, they work. They might work actually.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, the gating. That's what I feel allergic to, I guess. But
yeah.
I mean, maybe people don't mind. I mean, I put my email on stuff, and that's fine. I don't know. I guess I do it sometimes as a consumer, but I feel allergic to doing it as if I'm gonna, the producer or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, then you can also just like, hey, just fill in your email, and then right after clicking submit, they get the result. Like it's not that you actually send them the result per email. It's more like a quick thing, enter this thing.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And immediately you get the result. It depends on how you implement it, I guess.
Yeah. Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. But I mean, how is it? Because this seems to be like an interview. Like, I do a lot of stuff. Sure, but you also do a lot of stuff. So you have the streams, I think.
Yeah, man.
How's it going with the streams?
Oh, man. It's going well. I am... I should have looked this up. I don't know, but I'm close to 100 videos.
Nice.
And that is a milestone. I guess I wish I'd learned more. I feel like this is a problem of mine. That it's not inherent in the whatever and then the videos I'm making, but I wish I'd improved more over time. Is all I'm saying, right? Because I feel like 100 is a milestone, and I wish like I would have nailed a few things. But I split my time a lot. I'm also very busy. Like I have my consulting work, which is is my real job, and then I have a family. So it's like I'm also a soccer coach now. Football coach, but soccer, I guess, because I live in the States. I mean, for my 5-year-old's team. So let me let me be clear. No La Liga here or Premier League or anything like that.
Is it just as competitive? I heard that people can be quite competitive about amateur sports in the US.
They can be. No, but yes, they can be. I think there are some parents who are also like, put pressure on kids. I feel sad about that. They're like 5-year-olds, But this league in particular, and the reason why I signed up my kid for it, it's all about the kids having fun and teaching them to have fun with sports. Not like teaching them, but it's a focus of this organization that I'm, working with. That is about them having fun, because kids kind of drop off of sports at some ages and all this stuff. And they say one of the reasons kids side is like pressure from coaches and parents to be like too crazy about it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. If it stopped being fun.
Yeah. So anyway, I have a lot of things, but going back to the like Elixir streams, it's going well. I mean, I love it. I like doing it. It's time consuming is the only problem, right? And now I want to do this podcast because it's fun too. And they're all good. It takes a lot of time, right? Like people are surprised when I say, I think each video probably takes me a couple hours, like 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
I am surprised.
Yeah. It's like 3 minutes
why is
long.
that? I mean, it's like a minute video.
Yeah. It's like, between figuring out what I'm going to record about. Well, that sometimes that's not the case. Like I usually already have I have a running list, right, of things I probably want to do or stuff like that. Or sometimes something that happens. Okay. The idea is something that happens during the week that's cool or something, and I can share that. That's sort of how this kind of got started. So that takes time, but I don't know. I guess just recording takes time, editing takes time, and then editing takes time. I mean, and then like distribution, which is another thing that I need to. I think this is the place where I can probably save a lot of time. I just need to invest the time in figuring out the tools, like publishing it to YouTube and putting it on Twitter and and not doing all these things. And that just takes. It's just like manual stuff that takes me. I don't know. Takes me 40 minutes or something probably to do all these things and like write the notes, right? Because every video has little notes that I add, and so.
And you write the whole blog post, right, on streams. I saw that you do all that because that's great for SEO. That's actually how I find your videos on Google.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I write the notes because like I don't know. I like having both, right? Like I reference my own videos sometimes where I'm like, oh, whoa, how do I do this? I think I did a video about this, and then I just look at the notes because I've already seen the video and stuff. But yeah, so it takes time. It just takes a couple hours, And I assume the podcast will take.
But I understand because you also have the writing part there. Like if it was only the talking part and the editing part, I mean that should not take 3 hours.
I think the recording and editing takes me about an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Like, probably the recording probably takes me 20, 30 minutes and then editing another 20, 30 minutes. So.
Yeah. Do you re-record a lot?
Sometimes. Honestly, sometimes I don't re-record. Like if I mess up and I don't re-record, it takes me way longer to edit, right? Because now I'm like trying to slice things too finely, or like maybe, because I also, another thing is I want to make them short. So if I spend a lot of time like correcting my own typos, it's like, well, people don't want to sit there and watch me for 10 seconds, fixing all my... So,
okay. Then you have to redo it. Yeah.
Right. So it ends up being faster to redo it because they're so short, right? That's the beauty of it. It's like, it's not... As having recorded a course, it's not like trying to redo an hour-long or 30-minute long thing. This is like 5 minutes. So if I mess it up, or 3 minutes, right? If I mess it up, I can just go re-record it. So, yeah, I record. But usually it's like 2 takes at most. I don't do like 7 takes or anything. Yeah,
that's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, actually, when I do my videos for my video course, like I don't know, some of them are just like 15 minutes, one take things, and they're done. Sometimes you're just in the flow, everything works perfectly. Nice. I mean, I do have that too. That sometimes I make a mistake and I find an error. But I also got the feedback that people like seeing that, that they actually like seeing not a perfect execution, that you're like the superstar of Elixir and, everything, like when I see Jose sometimes, I'm like, when he live codes, it's just because he wrote every single function himself, So when he live codes, it's like, of course, this is like enum dot, and he knows all the things. And I just have to look for hex docs, like at every second functions I want to use. I'm like, what are the parameters again? What are the arguments? In which order? That's why in my videos for my video course, sometimes I just 50-minute takes, and there are 1 or 2 things where I get an error, and I'm like, why is that? Oh, because of that, and then I fix it, and then I don't start the recording new,
Yeah, and I think those can be helpful if you're not, especially if it's like, I guess, a linear flow where you're not losing the watcher, if that makes sense. Yeah, because like if you're debugging and you're losing people, then I think that's the one that's not as good. But if it's a pretty linear, like, there's a, I don't know, I run a test and it fails. I'm like, why did this fail? Oh, this thing. You fix it, you go back. And it's within the flow. It feels normal, natural. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually it's like a typo. You just need to fix a typo and you're good,
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, for like 1 to 2 minute videos, I would re-record them as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said earlier that after making 100 videos, you learned so much, and you wished you had learned it earlier. So what are these learnings?
Well, I don't know. I'm saying I wish I'd learned more about like perfecting the videos, like like my camera setup, right? Do you think by 100 I've my camera setup?
You might have a DSLR, yeah. No.
But I mean, my video has improved, but not to like, and that's just because I haven't put the time into it. No, but I do learn. I mean, I've learned a ton. In terms of editing and just being faster at these, and sort of, like the things I think I might have learned a lot of too is like what kinds of videos people like. I mean, I've learned some of that, not a ton. I should be clear, because a lot of it is I just want to make videos that I think are interesting, and sometimes those resonate. A lot of the times it's like people love the new stuff, right? So new in Elixir 117, this, that, which I enjoy too, but those tend to perform better.
I love those. Yeah, because it's like, Phoenix, what was it? 1.0 came out, like Live View 1.0. And this is what changes. And I think you had something in there with what was it? I don't know. Like there was something where
the Phoenix feedback 4 thing, probably.
Yeah, the feedback 4. Yeah, where the pseudo class is gone, and you have to ask like feedback 4. And that's something. Oh yeah, okay. I need to keep that in mind when I upgrade my application. It was actually useful.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And so that makes sense. I mean, people do like those, and I enjoy making those too, right? And it's honestly not too difficult in terms of like coming up. It's not like an idea that I have to come up, because I am generally interested in these things. Like I go look through the change logs and commits, and I go and like, oh, this is cool. What is this new thing, right? And so, so those are not hard to make, and people like them. I don't know
that's
what
a
else.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point, because I like people also ask me like, how can you do so many things? Like I read blog posts and live stream, whatever. But the thing is, like, I mostly do the things that I also am really interested in. Yeah. You know, like the video courses I've made, it was like, I just want to, for myself, put everything in one piece of content where I understand how forms work, right? And now I do kind of know how forms work. I still need to look up my own stuff all the time because I forget it all the time. But I know
that's why you made
somewhere.
It.
Exactly. That's why I made it. It's just for me. You shouldn't watch it at all. Like, it's actually not meant for the broader public. It's just for me. But, that's why I don't mind spending these many hours on creating content, because like the content I'm creating is something that I'm personally interested in as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I like doing these things. I think you and I mean, that's probably why we do it. But I like trying to be part of the community for some reason. I like creating content. I don't like the word content too much. It's fine. It's content. But I like sharing, things I learn and all these things. And I don't know. I mean, I think I also do open source. Do you do open source? Like I do, like I have Phoenix Test now.
I saw that. Yeah, I added some features. I don't know. I don't do open source because I don't have the projects. Like I have Lemon X, so like a wrapper for Lemon Squeezy, and people use that. Great, nice, it works. Whenever something comes in, I fix it like within a day or two, and that's great too. Yeah. But I just don't have these problems where I would need to create something as big. And I think that might also go back to something I heard from Wojtek Mach, the guy behind Livebook Desktop. And he had a really good blog post about Rec, because he's also maintainer of Rec, I believe.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he has a really good blog post about that you don't always need to have very large client libraries. So you don't always, like if you connect to Stripe, for example, right? Like, okay, you could use Strippity Stripe, and actually I would use that. But he gives it as an example. He says, well, all you need is like 2 endpoints, and if the authentication isn't too difficult, then you just implement the authentication plus 2 endpoints. That's like 100 lines of code. And then out of a sudden, you're not reliant on a very large client library that you need to maintain and update and all. It just will continue to work, So I'm working the same. Like when I build my applications, if I can, I look, is there a library that I can quickly use? But then again, is it like a very large library? Is it not well maintained? Is it, like on which version of Phoenix is it, and so on? And then usually I also say, well, can I build it myself? And if it doesn't take me longer than an hour or two, I build it myself, and then I have 100 lines of code, and that's all it takes,
Yeah.
So that's maybe why I don't really have these big libraries either.
I like it. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I didn't have an open source library that I was maintaining until I created Phoenix Test. And this was the one exception, because I felt like I want this to exist. I kept hoping that this would exist.
Yeah. Okay. So you waited for somebody else to build it.
Yeah. It didn't happen. And so I kind of extracted it from a few projects. And anyway, going back to like the con and stuff, it's another fun thing. I enjoy doing this. And it's, you know what it is? It's like, maybe this is where you're live streaming too. Like, I love the building without it having a monetary attachment to it. And it's not really the money. It's like I'm processing this even as I'm saying it, but it's for the joy of creation, right? Like, because sometimes it's not just jobs or anything. But even if I were to start a business or software that's paid, it kind of takes a different tone. I don't know if you feel that way.
100%. Like, as soon as money is involved, it becomes a job. And
it becomes a job. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It's not your free side project that you build on the weekend and then share to the world, but you don't really care. You just enjoy building it. Yeah. Nah, it's a job.
Yeah, exactly. And the priorities are it's interesting because the priorities are very different. Like I apply anytime I'm building software, obviously for clients, but even for myself, if it's going to be a type of business or something, it always goes through the ruthless prioritization. I mean, that's how I advise my clients to behave, right? Like we have money that is like, you're burning money and you're trying to build things, slices that are very valuable for customers, right? So you're trying to deliver value quickly and in iterative ways. But that doesn't let you sometimes just have certain explorations for joy, just for the joy of programming. Like the reason why I started liking programming when I first got into it. So anyway, Phoenix Test lets me do that. It's like it's so enjoyable sometimes. The other day there was this really nice refactor. Like it's actually serving something like towards a feature that I'm trying to implement. But it was just so nice for the pure like aspect of creation, you know. And there's no pressure. Like sometimes I feel pressure from people who are opening issues and stuff. But then I remember, you know, this is free software. You don't like it, don't use it. You know, I love it.
Send a PR, you know, send a PR.
Yeah. I love it when people are like, this is a deal breaker for me. And no one said this about Phoenix Test, thankfully. But in other open source that I've maintained in the past, it's like, if you don't have this, we might not adopt this. I'm like, okay, it's like,
fine, it's move on.
It's free, you know. It's like I don't know. But anyway, there's that freedom with it, so I enjoy that a lot. But
it's a creative outlet, so to say. Yeah, everybody needs to have a creative outlet.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do it in the computer.
Yeah, you know, I would love to find something outside of the like internet, you know, system. Like, I mean, I'm doing sports, but I always love to do handiwork, like building stuff with wood and so on. I always love building in general, but you know, living in an apartment, I don't have a garage. It's not like in America where I have a big house standing somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you know, with like 5 hectares of land. That's my dream, but maybe not in America. But
we don't all have houses like that, just to be clear. It's not all just land everywhere. But
it's what I see on Netflix. Isn't that the reality? Like I saw something like a detective thing in Seattle, and she just had a house literally on an island outside of Seattle.
Yeah, we all live like that, man. Yeah, we all have like 10 acres and you know.
Yeah, that's why you commute 4 hours to work.
Nice. Yeah, it's all like that. That's the US. No, I know it's funny what you get from other places, but there's something to that like manual creation. I think it's so. I think that's why so many developers have like word working or. I got into baking bread for some reason,
right?
And it's enjoyable. I mean, it's not the same, but it's like creating something with your hands and that you can eat. My kids love it.
True.
So I know there's something like that.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned sports. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mentioned. I wanted to say that too with your trainer assignment for a sports team. That's also something where you're away from the computer. You're on the field. You know, good weather, bad weather. You help kids become better football players. Like I still
love
call it
that.
football.
It's football. It's fine. I tell my kids because I speak Spanish, right? So I tell my kids,
right,
vamos a ir a jugar fútbol, and they're like, which one is football? You know, they're always so confused. It's like, well, it's you know, I'm like, it's not American football, which we call, you know, or it's football, which we call soccer. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Why do they call it football? But anyway, man, it's so fun. It's so fun. And I only just started, and it was accidental too. Like I was signing up to be assistant coach, but the organization didn't have enough coaches, so all of a sudden I just became coach. And it's great, man. Kids are excited. You know, you're outside. It's a lot of fun. So.
And it's great, especially if the kids have fun as well. Like if you would feel, there's a lot of pressure on us, we got to perform. Like then it becomes a job again, right? There's something like an outcome you have to achieve, you know. But now it's just like free play and happiness.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good. It's definitely that. Do you play anything? You mentioned sports on spare time.
I used to play handball like a long time. You know, it's a very German sport with a big ball and you throw it in a net. Yeah, Americans aren't very good at that. I don't think you play it at all. It's a European thing.
I've never heard
handball.
Yeah. Handball.
Yeah, it's like
that's probably what the Americans should call football. You know, it's a handball.
No, well, football you got the oval ball. No. So like football is kind of like you have a soccer field, but a small indoor soccer field, and then it's kind of So you have 2 small goals on each side, and you have around the goal like a half circle, and you aren't allowed to step into that half circle.
Oh, I've seen this.
And then you have like 7 players usually on each side, and then you need to attack and you need to go through the defense and jump and throw, and you have these balls which are like like I don't know, like a bottle, not a bottle,
like a size 3 sock,
like this
football.
size, like a hand size, and
so maybe a 1 or 3 in football or soccer.
Yeah, like a 3. I don't know. So you can comfortably hand it. Like if I put my hand like this, I won't go all the way around. Like it's slightly bigger than that.
Sure.
So then you got all the tricks. Like people use what you get from like a tree, from the tree skin. I'm not sure how you call that in English.
Bark.
Like there is,
tree bark.
So. The beer from the bark, and then under the bark, so you sometimes have these like sticky stuff,
Oh, the
What's it called?
what
Harz
is this called?
in German. Yeah, but
I don't know.
that stuff,
Yeah,
like
okay.
the sticky stuff, and you put that on your fingers so that you can hold the ball better. That's like some of the
Sap.
tricks because sap.
Tree sap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Okay,
tree
gotcha.
sap. Yeah, and then you can actually like spin the ball, and it goes like in an angle and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, I played that for like, I don't know, 8 years or so when I was younger. It was fun.
Okay. Wow. How do people take away the ball? Just like if you're passing, someone intercepts it?
You gotta defend, so you put your hands up, and it's also why everybody who plays it, they at one point have all the fingers broken, or like not broken, but like it's a very German sport. You just it's one of these like kid stories, At the end, everybody died, and that's the end of the story. Yeah, no, but man, I had a friend who played this half like semi-professionally, and every single like in every joint you have like a little capsule. And this is what it like, not the finger breaks, but the capsule breaks, and it takes a week or so to recover. Every single one of those, like on every single joint, he had them broken for a while. It's just, it's a very tough sport. But that's how you do it. You just hold up your fingers, you hope that nothing breaks, and you just go for it. Yeah.
It's when it breaks, not if it breaks. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Small enough ball. Is it a really hard ball? No.
But I mean, you throw it really, really hard.
You throw it hard, right?
Like it's
I can
like
imagine.
baseball. Like, not quite as much, but it's really tough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some of the goalies, I think, are the toughest people in the world because they have like balls flying at the head. You actually aim for the head or like any part that people would instinctively. Yeah, and the goalies, like the good ones, they don't have these reactions anymore. So when usually you duck when something flies at you. Yeah. And they train that off. They train to not have that reaction anymore because, I mean, if the ball hits your face, you still save the goal, right?
So there is a goal even though there's the line. Like the line, the players aren't allowed to attack inside that semicircle, right? But you still have a goalie. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but then you have to. There's like a 2-3 meter distance between the goal and that line. So you kind of really need to jump into the circle, and then you can, hit the goal. But yeah, it's one of these things like basketball, where you just have a lot of points, going on. So, but it's a fun sport.
What's like a normal score?
Like 35 to 32. Okay. I mean, it's not like basketball with 100, but still, it's more than football where you have like 2-1,
Yeah.
Sorry,
right.
soccer. Like,
no, it's fine. I got you. Yeah. American football would be like 35 to 27 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Interesting. Handball. Why don't you play anymore?
My team dissolved, and then that was it, basically. I didn't want to go to a new team. I wasn't as ambitious. It was just about having friends and fun. Yeah. Then I played basketball for a year, and I enjoyed that a lot. I still like basketball. Okay. And then I just started climbing for like 5-6 years. I was a climber, like from 16 until 22 or so. And then because I moved to the Netherlands where there are no mountains whatsoever, so climbing wasn't really, you can climb up the trees if you want, but it's not as much fun. And then I just went to the gym, running in the gym. Okay. And then I very much like moved into powerlifting. So I did powerlifting for like 7 years, just like heavy weightlifting. Yeah.
Okay.
But recently I stopped that because I don't know, I didn't make any progress anymore. It takes a lot of time to do that, like 3-4 times a week, 3 to 4 hours.
What?
If you want to do it right. Yeah. Like if you want to do it right, it's like 5-6 times a week, 2 to 3 hours.
How you're powerlifting the entire time?
No, that's the point. You do it once and you wait like 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
So because you have a very heavy load on your body, you need to wait like 5 minutes until the next set. And then you just stand around. And I don't know, I didn't find that very interesting anymore after a while.
Gotcha.
So now I switched back to just running and weightlifting. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Okay. Man, you've lived like 4 different lives. Because everything you just said, I did this for 8 years. I did this for I don't think I've done anything for 8 years. So.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, when you're younger and your parents, send you to the thing, and then it just becomes a habit. Like it just needs to become a habit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Do you still play football as well? Or
no, I was playing maybe a couple years ago. I stopped because we moved and I lost my group, and I need to find a new group. It's been just a lack of effort. I'm trying to find someone nearby. A good, just a group of people. But I like playing for fun. I don't want to play competitive because,
sure,
Same. I'm just not looking to get injured anymore.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be fun. But to be fun, it needs to be semi-competitive, right? Like there's that balance, right? You can't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like playing volleyball too, but I haven't played in a long time. I have I come from a family of volleyball players. Like all on my mom's side, they would play. When I grew up, they played every Sunday afternoon, the whole family, and it would be like from young cousins, not too young because it was actually pretty competitive, to like. But all the like aunts and uncles, everybody's like playing it. It was awesome. So anyway, I played volleyball too, and I love it. So that's been
nice.
But that's been a while. So I got to
get back into that, right? You got the genes for that, apparently.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun, man. I love volleyball. Is a sport that is a ton of fun, but that you can't play with two beginners. Like I don't know,
right.
because then the ball never, the ball always drops, and volleyball is you really need people who can at least keep the ball going. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
Sure might. But yeah, cool.
Oh,
Peter, I think I'm gonna have to run.
Yeah, sure.
But
no problem. Just one last shout out because I haven't mentioned it earlier. Go to runelixir.com.
I know. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about that. Yeah. Tell me quickly. Like, what was the impetus for that?
Yeah. So the elevator pitch for it, for example, is like. I started doing JavaScript and Rust a while ago for a client project, and I learned these languages, and they're really good starting documentations for them. Especially in Rust, they have like the Rust book, just the Rust book, I think it's called. Okay. And also then I tweeted about that. And I was like, hey, that's something Elixir should also have. Just like a small condensed introduction to the language, and especially focused at engineers who already have some experience, who do not need to learn what is an integer, what is a string. So, literally okay, this is the language. This is how you assign a variable. This is how you make a function. This is how you run an application. This is how you log stuff. And I thought, man, this is something we need too. So like, there's always a thing, like, I tweet about it, and then I think, well, hopefully somebody gets just picks it up and does it.
They're sniping somebody.
Yeah, nobody did. So I thought, oh man, I'm just going to do it myself. Yeah.
Okay.
So I started writing it. It took me like a week to get the basics done. And then also I learned a lot about Hexdocs and how to host it yourself,
Oh, you're hosting yourself?
Yeah, on Netlify. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you had made it into like a library somehow, and that's how you were doing Hexdocs. But this makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, no, gotcha. I thought about that, but then I thought, well, it's not really part of Hexdocs. It's a third-party documentation. It's not a library that I'm describing, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, so I just like literally FTP push the files to Netlify.
Nice.
But sorry,
whatever works.
Run Elixir is a 30-minute quick start introduction to Elixir. So if you want to get started with Elixir and you come from another language and you just want to see how does it work in Elixir, how do I create a function, how do I run code, I explain that to you in like 30 minutes, 1 hour, ish.
Yeah.
And so that is like one part of the motivation here, to give this like really quick start thing so that people can just start working with it. And I also very quickly moved to Livebook. I say, well, just download Livebook and you can execute all this code yourself.
Nice.
And that way I also hope, immediately they have Livebook running, they can just write Elixir code, try out stuff, bam. That is one part of the motivation. The other part of the goal, at least for this project, is that I also want to find I want to create a single source of, like a catalog of common practices and technologies that people are using. Gotcha, for example, I have a whole section about async stuff, how to do async stuff in Elixir, right? Because everybody knows, well, OTP is great, async is great, but yeah, sure, like I know how a gen server works, but what is the difference between spawn and a task?
Sure.
For example, when should I use each? What is different between like a gen server and a supervisor? And then you also have dynamic supervisors and partition supervisors. So like, I wanted to write all these like short documents, literally 1-page documents, where I just explain this is how you write a dynamic supervisor. Well, I haven't done that yet, but this is how you write a supervisor, and this is how you start a gen server under a supervisor. Yeah, that's one thing. And then the other thing is also I wanna just highlight a couple of technologies, like Oben, how to use Ecto, very basic, CacheX, the logger right now, how to write your own logging backend. There was also big learning.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the idea, that as an existing Elixir developer, if you want to look up, okay, how do I write a Broadway, pipeline, like I'm doing in my Livetree? I'm going to copy paste that code into like a Livebook, and then you can just copy that code and you have a Broadway pipeline running. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that thing is like just a collection of all these different things.
Yeah.
And that's my goal for it.
Okay. Interesting. I like it. I totally get where that fits, right? Like, it's that layer of like, okay, there's the basic stuff you can read in documentation, and then there's this like how to draw the rest of the owl. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you have like write a circle, and then all of a sudden just fill in the details, and you have like this super detailed all. And you're like, how do I go from A to B?
Exactly. So you're actually helping draw the next steps for the owl. Love that one. Exactly. Anyway, draw the owl. No, that's awesome. I like it also because I always hesitate to say it until I'm actually like doing it. So I've done a couple of modules, but I'm thinking of doing like a crash courses for Elixir, and it's not the same thing. It's actually based on work I've done for my client, where it's like you have developers who have experience, and it's like they don't want to go and same thing. They don't want to go and read about how integers and Elixir and all this stuff. Almost by osmosis they understand the like basics, but like a crash course on. And this is stuff I already kind of have. Like, is for like Elixir processes and OTP, like just what that is, and how to use it and all these things. And I call them crash courses because it's meant the way I did them for my client is like they're about 30-minute presentations, 30 to 40 minutes, and it's like fast. I go way fast, and it's meant to be like sort of a starting point where you're like, okay, kind of what I said before is like for people to say, okay, I didn't like fully retain all of that, but next time when I need to. I need to use a supervisor. Let me go and look at this again. And you kind of at least know that there is such a thing as supervisors, how they work. They can be named. They can be all these other things, and sort of kind of gets you in there. So anyway, I'm thinking of creating a course of like a series of those, like crash course on Elixir. There's a process in OTP. I have one on Ecto, one on LiveView. I guess I would do maybe one on Phoenix. So anyway, that's something I might do. That's like my next probable course because I have part of it done basically, but I don't announce it unless I'm actually committed.
I know, yeah. But I think that's actually a really good idea because that is what a lot of people want when they come to a new language. Like I started doing Rust now, and I was struggling, like, how do I log in Rust? Like, how do I literally write something to my console, right? How do I write a function? What is let, const, static, like all these things? Like, it's just the basic stuff. And if I would understand it, I could immediately get started and write some Rust code. I mean, not great and not like super sophisticated, but 80-90% of what you do is just like data transformations and function calls anyway. So that's why I thought, okay, I'm going to write that for Elixir. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is also, I think there are a couple of things that Elixir and Erlang, they offer, but a lot of people are not aware of them. And it's only that you learn about them when somebody tells you about them. For example, stuff like persistent term. Do you know about persistent term? Yeah. So I learned
what about it?
So it's an Erlang thing, right? It's not an Elixir thing. But if you have like a very large data store, like a very large variable in memory, like for example, a huge 2 gigabyte or 2 MB file, and you load it when you start your server, and then you don't want to pass around the variable with 2 MBs because every passing is a copying of that variable. You can use persistent term because in that regard you only send around a reference to that original store.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
it's it's breaking out of the copying of data. Yeah, I don't think I knew that. I'd heard of persistent term, and I thought but I think I'm thinking of something else. But okay.
Yeah, well, now you know. So that's something I learned because a friend of mine, he used it in the code base that I worked on, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know this existed. So it's like, unless somebody tells you about it, you just don't know, And then it's like, yeah, sure, that exists. How did you not hear about it? So and that actually, I think there are a couple of topics that we have in the community. And if I, write a little thing and I actually put it in context, so on Run Elixir, you have a whole section about in-memory state, for example, and then I go into agent, I go into ets, I go into dets, so disk-based ETS, persistent term, and then you can go in there and say, so I need to store in-memory state. How do I do this? Well, let's look at agent, ets, dets, and persistent term. So that way, I hope also to like even the knowledge a little bit in the community.
In the community, that's awesome. I think it's going to be a nice resource. Have you gotten a lot of, I don't even know if you pay attention to these or track them or anything, or if you have any analytics, have you gotten a lot of hits on it?
When I launched it was like 1,000 unique visitors, and I was like 100 a week or so, but it also always like goes up when I launch something new, and it's how it is, but it's not meant to be, the high converting landing page. It's just meant to be like a knowledge database, and especially when people come into the language, I hope that this is useful for them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it will be. I think it will be. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, of course.
That's like your equivalent of the open source. You felt the need,
right?
And you went and did it. Yeah.
And it is open source. It is on
there you
GitHub.
go.
So if you want to send a PR, if you want to write a section yourself, please go ahead and send me a PR, and I'm happy to review it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one last thing I wanted to say this, because I always want to encourage people to create, well, I don't mind saying content. I actually like content.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's
like
true.
knowledge, right?
Yeah,
so I always want to like encourage people to do that, because there are two things. One of them is you don't know who you will help with it. Like so often I just Google for stuff that I'm blocked by, and then there's a little blog post, like 2 paragraphs, and it's like, yeah, if you want to do this with that library, you just enable this flag, and out of a sudden magically it works. And I'm like, thank God that you wrote this down, because now I'm unblocked, right? And that happens like once a week at least. So I'm like, please write it down, and write it like somewhere on your own blog, or somewhere where I can find it, where like Google can find it, right? That's the second thing. Yeah. And the third thing is like you would not believe how much I learned about Elixir and Erlang by writing run at elixir.com. It's like the basic stuff you think you know, because I've been working with it for 6 years, right? And like, no, there's so many little details that you only learn about when you write about that stuff, because then you really need to learn, like read the documentation, and then you run into these things where it's like, I didn't know there was something like a reference in Elixir. There's a basic type reference. I didn't know that existed. Like, it does. And you can just, make ref, and out of a sudden you have a unique identifier for something like a request, for example. That's what Phoenix uses. I didn't know that existed. So there you go. Just write content and you will learn stuff really in depth.
There's nothing like it. I 100% agree. There's nothing like trying to explain something to someone that really forces you to know it, right? To learn it. So 100% agree. And the other thing you mentioned that I want to just ultra highlight, and I tell this to people all the time too, is like those simple blog posts that seem overly specific that you think nobody will need. I remember, like, I come from the Ruby community, right? And like that was so common, and I loved it, because the minute you hit that problem and you have someone who's kind of like written a blog post, bless their heart, that addresses the exact same thing, it's so nice, and it unblocks you. And what was it? The OBS flag? The OBS flag, right? That you struggle with?
So the OBS flag, for example. Yeah.
So someone needed to write that blog post.
Or make a YouTube video, because I was looking for YouTube videos, how to set up OBS, right? How to fix the pixelated text in OBS. Man, just write it, like click these 5 things, done. Actually, what I found was a forum entry thing somewhere in the OBS forum, and there was somebody who giving like, there are 2 ways of doing this, and I just followed each, and then I picked the one that worked better for me. But just bless their heart, just by writing this thing, which took them like 10 minutes or 5 minutes to write. Like after 3 hours of struggling, I finally found my solution,
Yeah. Oh, the beauty of the internet, when you can publish like free stuff everywhere, that's the dream. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Awesome. Peter.
Anyway. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you being the first one. Willing to willing to just jump in and chat. Man, I hope we can do this again, and we can get updates and see how things are going.
Definitely, yeah. Well, and you like notify us when you have the next episode out.
Yeah,
because I hope this will be something. I think that's something that we missed in the community, just like a casual chat of people that people might see in the community, but it's the same thing. Like you just see the face on Twitter and you never really met the person. So this is also a nice way of getting to know people.
Yeah, and it's a little people might not know this, but it's a little selfish from me. It's like I came back so energized from ElixirConf, and like I just want to keep talking to people, in the Elixir community. I love it. And even though you and I have never met in person, because we've talked before, I don't know. Yeah, it feels like we've connected. And something I want to do. I'm curious what you think. I want to do like a segment on like I wish I prepared more for this one, because I would love to say, like, I don't know, you live in the Netherlands, but you're also from Germany, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you I remember, if I'm not mistaken, your Twitter says like you love Africa or something. So anyway, the point being the point being that like it'd be really cool if I could somehow say like, what is it, like your favorite drink or your favorite food or something. It can't be like a full meal. But if we try it in the podcast, it's like we're eating or we're drinking a beer as we go. I don't know. This, I want to make this like a very I don't know, friendly podcast. Like maybe sometimes it's a group of people and we can all talk. I don't know how that would go because of the remote thing. I don't, we'd have to figure it out.
I mean, I couldn't eat what my favorite food is, because I think one of my favorite foods is the German Döner. It's like a kebab, kebab.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not kebab. It's the Döner. It's a German thing. Well, actually developed by Turkish immigrants in Germany, and it's like a half bread. So it's like a nice Turkish bread cut in half, and then just stuffed with meat and salad and a nice sauce. And the bread is really crispy too. So they bake it usually fresh in the place where you do it. At least they warm it up.
Yeah.
And they cut the meat, from like a spike where they have the meat
from
on.
like a skewer, like a
big skewer,
gyro. How do you say those? Yeah,
like a skewer with a big piece of meat, and then they rotate it so that it becomes crispy, and then they cut it fresh. They put it into the bread. They put some sauce, some salad. That together with a ayran, which is a Turkish salty yogurt drink, and it's
yogurt
like
drink.
that. Yeah, it's like a yogurt, very salty, but it's like just a very light yogurt. So kind of like milk, a little thicker milk.
Okay.
Very salty, and that together with the doner, I think that is one of my most favorite meals.
Interesting.
Like hands down.
Is the bread like I'm not saying it's a hot dog bun, but is it?
No.
I know it's not. I know that. No. But is it thicker like that, or is it more like a pita bread, or like like a thin?
It's a bit thicker than a pita bread, but it's not much more than a pita bread. Yeah, it's not as thick as a bread. It's like I don't know, like a finger width, I guess.
Okay,
less than that. Yeah,
got it. So it's closer to a flatbread. It's not like a fully risen.
It's like a flatbread, like twice as thick. Slightly different, like ingredients. It's a bit more crisp because they always put it in a grill, and then they take it out of the grill and they cut it open and they put the stuff in. It's all over Germany. Like if you go to Germany, on every second corner you find that stuff, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Nice. I love that. That sounds delicious. That would be something I would eat. If ever I'm in Germany, I will look for that. In every street corner. Is it in the street? Is it street food, or is it just like a little place in the corner? Like
it's like small little snack bars, like takeaways thing. But all of them are good. Almost all of them are good. The ayran is always good. So like get an ayran and a doner and you're going to have a meal, like a proper meal.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That's perfect. I love that. I love that. I wish I could try it.
One day. Yeah. One day.
But yeah, thanks, Peter. Thanks so much. And let's chat again some other time.
Definitely. Catch you in the next one.
Yeah. All right. See you.